had passed over it. But the dean himself sat with his prayer book before him, while the horse under him stood trembling and foaming. By the time the dean reached home, he no longer knew whether or not it had been a dream, a vision, or reality, this that he had seen. But he took it as a warning to him to remember the poor creatures who were at the mercy of wild beasts. He preached so powerfully to the Delsbo peasants that in his day all the wolves and bears were exterminated from that section of the country, although they may have returned since his time. Here Bernhard ended his story. He received praise from all sides, and it seemed to be a foregone conclusion that he would get the prize. The majority thought it almost a pity that Clement had to compete with him. But Clement, undaunted, began: "One day, while I was living at Skansen, just outside of Stockholm, and longing for home." Then he told about the tiny midget he had ransomed, so that he would not have to be confined in a cage, to be stared at by all the people. He told also that no sooner had he performed this act of mercy than he was rewarded for it. He talked and talked, and the astonishment of his hearers grew greater and greater. But when he came to the royal lackey and the beautiful book, all the dairymaids dropped their needlework and sat staring at Clement in open-eyed wonder at his marvelous experiences. As soon as Clement had finished, the eldest of the dairymaids announced that he should have the muffler. "Bernhard related only things that happened to another, but Clement has himself been the hero of a true story, which I consider far more important." In this all concurred. They regarded Clement with very different eyes after hearing that he had talked with the king, and the little fiddler was afraid to show how proud he felt. But at the very height of his elation, some one asked him what had become of the midget. "I had no time to set out the blue bowl for him myself," said Clement, "so I asked the old Laplander to do it. What has become of him since then I don't know." No sooner had he spoken than a little pine cone came along and struck him on the nose. It did not drop from a tree, and none of the peasants had thrown it. It was simply impossible to tell whence it had come. "Aha, Clement," winked the dairymaid, "it appears as if the tiny folk were listening to us. You should not have left it to another to set out that blue bowl." End of A Day in Haelsingland, read by Lars Rolander.